I'm here to talk to you about the most exciting topic of all. We all know it to be true, operations. You guys are so sweet. We all know that's not true, but do you know what is absolutely true? Is that operations, and I genuinely believe this, and what I'm going to show you today is how we can leverage and use ops in our business to uncover what I call hidden profits. And I'm going to dig into what that is, but the long and short of it is that if you give me the next 60 minutes of your time, your attention, your focus, I will make you money, and I will make that money appear inside of your business like magic. Is that fair? Yeah. Good deal. Let's do it. So, every business suffers from what I call the leaky bucket problem. If I was to describe operations to you, this is how it would go. I would say sales and marketing is the pipe that is piping water into your bucket. Your business is your bucket, right? And sales and marketing is responsible for going out, getting water, that's money, and bringing it into your business. The goal is to increase the water line within the bucket. Every bucket has gaps and holes and cracks. There's no such thing as the perfectly efficient business. The job, very simply, of operations is this. This is what operators do. Very simply, we are responsible for finding those gaps and finding those holes and plugging them. What does this do for your business? It keeps the water in. To be clear, this is water that you have already paid for. This is so essential, right? You are paying money for sales, for marketing, for sales commission, for ad spend. It is expensive to drive revenue. You've already paid for that water to enter into your bucket. And then it is turning right around and leaving, vanishing through all these holes and all these gaps and all these cracks. But you've already paid for it. And so if operations can come in and close those gaps, close those holes, keep the water in the bucket, and it doesn't cost you anything to do that. It doesn't cost you anything to be more efficient. Would we agree that that's free money? That's money that you already paid for. That's money that would have otherwise evacuated the bucket that instead is now yours to pick up and take off the table. This is what we call profit. Profit is the water that's left over in the bucket after you pay for all of the things that you need to pay for. So if we can increase the water that stays in the bucket, you make more profit, you make free money. Does that sound interesting to anyone? Cool, because when people tell me that operations is boring, I go, no, it's the sexiest thing. Because what is sexier than free money? And let's figure out today how to identify the gaps and the holes that currently exist in your bucket. Let's identify what to do to close them today so that you walk out of this 60 minutes from now with more water in the bucket, with more free money in your pocket. Does that seem fair? All right, cool, let's do it. So, everybody's been very nice to me. My name is Jhana Li. I've gotten a lot of nice introductions. So really the only thing that you need to know about me, none of this fancy stuff, it's just that I am an absolute die-hard operations nerd. Guys, I am just freaking nerdy for it because again, I genuinely believe that operations is the hidden advantage inside of every single one of your businesses. I genuinely believe that operations is not just that critical lever that gives you the best version of your company, but the best version of your life. Operations is what allows you to go take a trip for a month with your family and not worry that the business is going to fall apart without you. Operations is what allows you to show up every day doing the thing that you love, the thing that you do best, the thing that drives real value in your business, and not have to deal with any of the other stuff that is low value and you hate doing it and it doesn't make you that much money anyway. But someone's got to do it. Operations is the machine that you get to build into your business so that that machine turns around and creates the best version of your life. This is why I love operations. I'm so honored and so excited to get to share that all with you today. So here we go. My company, Spyglass Ops, we developed something that we call the Spyglass Method. There are 6 core pillars to the Spyglass Method. I want you to think of these as the 6 pillars within your business. Think of the pillars that make up the foundation of a house, right? The bigger, the taller we want this house, this building to grow, the deeper, the stronger that foundation needs to sit, because otherwise any gust of wind, oh my God, and then a gusted wind, thanks God, because any gust of wind can come in and knock the house over. So if you want to build a big, sustainable, scalable, resilient business, Your foundation must sit deeply in the ground. This is what makes up scalable operations. This is also the 6 pillars within where all of your hidden profit is hiding. So what we're gonna do today is I'm going to take these pillars one at a time, and I'm going to walk you through stories and common mistakes, best practices, the things that I see across the hundreds of entrepreneurs that we work with, where hidden profit is leaking out of their business across each of these 6. As we're going through this, what I would like you to do is make note of where you think hidden profit may be found in your business today. And then we have a ton of time, and I love to talk. So y'all are screwed. At the end of this, we are gonna deep dive workshop your business. So I want you to make a note of like, hidden profit might be here. And then at the end of this, we're actually just going to dig into your business together. We're all going to learn from each other's companies and each other's hidden profit opportunities. And we're all gonna make more money together at the end. Fair? Let's do it. All right, so the 6 pillars: strategy, leadership, team, systems and technology, communication, and data. All right, let's start with team. Top mistakes. These are probably the 3 biggest things that I see starter entrepreneurs do all the time. Because let's be honest, nobody ever taught us how to build or lead a team, so it's entirely okay that we wouldn't know how to do that. But that's not an excuse when it comes to your money and your profit that is leaking out of the business as a result. So here are the top 3 mistakes that I see entrepreneurs make. The first is we put the wrong people into the wrong seats. So maybe those people should not be on our bus to begin with, or maybe the seat that we have carved out for them is not the right fit for their skill set. We see this all the time in COO positions. This is what we do. We recruit operators. I have had to help founders fire their wives, fire their brothers, their childhood best friend, because I took the person that I liked and that I trust, I gave them a very fancy title, and now I don't even know what the COO should be doing. We had a client who did exactly that. He did all 3 of these things, actually. He hired a COO. This guy was paying him a multi-six-figure salary, and he sat on him for 6 months. And every single month I would check in with him. This was before we were working together, to be clear. I would check in with him and I'd say, hey, how's your COO doing? And he would say something along the lines of, I don't know. I don't really know, because maybe my expectations are just like too high. Do you guys ever think that? Of like, man, I wish my team would be better, but maybe it's just me and my expectations are too high. Or I don't know if I'm disappointed in him and he's actually not the right COO for me, and I don't know how to tell the difference. Because what he also didn't do was he had a strong operator, but not clear expectations. He never told that person, this is what success in your role looks like. This is how we're going to measure success. And so 6 months in, he was still wondering whether this guy was the right fit for the role, because he had no way other than his gut to try and make that determination. So either wrong people in wrong seats, right people, but unclear expectations, or right people, but wrong leadership. And we're gonna get more into leadership after this, because the reality is you can't have an A-player team unless you're an A-player coach. And we're gonna talk more about that in a moment. Turns out it was the wrong COO. And then I helped him. Finally, after 6 months, he was like, all right, I'm gonna fire him. Help me get the right COO. This is a direct screenshot. My COO that you suggested I put in place just saved us no shit, $100K or more on advertising spend because we were using the wrong pixel. Shit, guys. I mean, this is a win, right? This is a huge win. It's client testimonial, but I wanna give you a reframe on this, which is that was an $100K loss that his other COO was letting leak out of the business because he wasn't the right person in the right role. That is an enormous hole in the bucket, would we all agree? It is an unacceptably large hole in the bucket. And it wasn't the visionary's job, it wasn't the founder's job to be auditing all of the pixel accounts. That is the role of team and operations. And so by getting the right person in the role, he saved $100K in a month. But my argument is that 100K was actually 600K because he sat on the wrong COO for 6 months and this water was just leaking out of his bucket and he didn't even know it. See what I mean? Okay, so hidden profits, right? It can be as small as, especially at scale, a wrong pixel on an ad account. Because if you're spending that much money, if you're scaling that fast, little mistakes cost you big amounts. And this is true not just for COOs, not just for marketing pixels. On average, the cost of a mishire in any role is between 1 to 3x the annual salary of that person. So if you hire someone for 100K and then you realize they're the wrong fit, take 300K, light it on fire. That's what we just did. Because again, it's not just the cost of all of the things that they missed, of all of the mistakes that they've made, of all of the time and energy that you've spent going out and hiring them and bringing them in and training them and onboarding them, like that's super expensive. It's also the opportunity cost of not having the right person in the role. It's the 600K that could have been saved if he had the right operator from day one. It is enormously expensive. It is, in fact, probably the most expensive mistake that I see startup entrepreneurs make is to hire the wrong people because, again, nobody ever taught us how to hire. But there's a process for that. There's a way of doing it right, which is why we ultimately caved and did recruitment. Like that wasn't my core offer to start with, but we did it because it's such an essential role and it's so expensive to get it wrong. So where right now might your team be costing you? Hidden profit leaking out through team that isn't catching the little details, through people that are in the wrong roles, through the right people, the right A players that aren't leveling up because they don't have the right expectations for their role or they haven't been set up for success. Leadership. Like I said, you can't have an A player team if you're not an A player coach. This is my hot take, but this is something I fundamentally believe, which is that our businesses at the end of the day are a reflection of ourselves. Meaning you look at your business, everything that you love, everything that you've built, everything that you're proud of, that is a mirror back to you and the human you have become and the risk you are willing to take and the entrepreneur that you are. Everything that is frustrating, every dropped ball, every client fire, every team member coming back to you and asking you the same question again and again, somehow, some way, I guarantee it, links back to you. Your leadership, how we built that system or didn't build that system, how we hired or didn't set the right expectations. We can always link it back to us. And while that is a tough pill to swallow, it is also maybe the best news I could give you all day. Because do you know what's easier than like firing your entire team, going out, hiring new people only to have them also disappoint you? Is leveling up. Yourself, your leadership, how you show up as a CEO founder, that is always within your control. Which means that if we start that level up today, we get to produce a different outcome within our business tomorrow. And it actually does work that fast. We had a client, love this guy. He was young, but he was hungry, he was coachable, he was humble. And he was doing a couple of major red flag things in his leadership that when we came in, we did the audit, we had to hold up the mirror and say, hey, this is happening. This is your behavior, and this is the response that your team is giving back to you. This is why you're unhappy. This is why you're disappointed. This is why you're trapped in the day-to-day weeds. This is why it feels like your team can't execute or move things forward without you. And to his enormous credit, he took that, he took ownership for it, he took action and changed the behaviors that we outlined. 2 weeks later, I checked in and he said, Jhana, I literally don't even recognize my team. Who are these people? All of a sudden, where before they were reactive and waiting for me to do everything, they are now proactive and bringing ideas to the table. All of a sudden, where before I had to like pull teeth on meetings to get them bought in and engaged, they're jumping in with ideas. They've solved problems before I even knew that they were problems. Who are these people? And what I told him is, dude, these were always your people. They had all this human potential. They had all of this to give you the whole time, but they weren't because they weren't being invited to the table. Hidden profit, human potential as a resource in our business, creativity, innovation in our business that is leaking out because we're not asking our team to bring it. We're not inviting them to be a part of what it is that we're building. We're treating them as a ball and chain that needs to be dragged behind us, and that's on us. But the good news, again, back to hidden profit, is that it is free to become a better leader. Would we all agree? It's the cost of a couple leadership books or a conversation that you and I can have after this talk, right? It's free. And the result, the ROI on an absolutely free investment is on average 2.1x. Well-led, well-managed teams on average are twice as productive as average performing teams, when the only thing that changes is the manager and leader. So 2.1x, how do we bring this back into dollars within our business? Guys, Caitlin said, I like data. I do. And it's because I want to help you guys understand down to the dollars and cents how something kind of ephemeral and intangible like operations actually drives the bottom line, right? So 2.1x, that's this line up here versus your average team is down here. But remember, it's the same people and you're paying them the same amount. So at this price point, when this is your labor cost, which output would you rather have? Do you want a 1x ROI or do you want a 2.1x ROI? Which is going to make your business more money? Which is going to make your business more profit, right? The gap between these two are all of the people that you didn't have to hire because your team is more productive. Your team is more efficient. You need less people to get the same amount of output. All of those savings drop straight to the bottom line. So to give you an example of this, when I was the COO, my very first COO position, I was running a digital marketing agency. My account managers, on average in the industry, account managers could handle like 30 to 40 accounts each. I leveled my team up, leveled myself up, built the systems, did all the things. And my account managers were handling between 100 and 110 accounts each. So I literally got 3 to 4x the output from the same labor cost as my competitor. I saved something like $350K per year in labor costs that I didn't have to pay, team that I didn't have to hire because my team was more productive. Does that make sense? Stay with me on the math. And guys, I know I'm gonna throw a lot of numbers at you, so nodding heads helps. And if you don't understand, this helps so we can slow it down. I want everybody to understand the concepts that I'm talking about today, okay? Because again, I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. This is your profit. And I want you to understand what it's going to take to find it and take it off the table. Leadership, serious ROI, one of the most important things that we can do. More numbers, communication, pillar number 3. I get really excited. Okay, I wanna break down just very quick math. Don't worry, I've already done it all for you, but just follow me with the numbers here. We on average, $31 an hour is what it came out to. And he had a meeting every single week. It was actually 2 meetings, 2 60-minute meetings every single week with his entire team to essentially just like check up, how's everything going? And by everything, I mean everything. Like, how is every single department in my business doing? What are you working on? Where are you stuck? Did you get back to that client? How are we doing with this? Is this sounding familiar? Do any of you guys have conversations like this with your team all the time? Yeah. So he had 2 hours of that every single week. When we actually calculate that out, 20 people, $31 an hour, 2 hours a week, 50 working weeks a year, that meeting cost him $62,000 a year. One meeting. 62K. What's crazy about that is that the meeting was completely unnecessary. Like, it literally just didn't need to happen. We made a couple of changes to his systems so that now his systems were checking in with people, his systems were holding them accountable to deadlines, his systems were prioritizing and helping them understand what they needed to do, and we saved him $62,000. Hidden profit. But that's not the real opportunity. That's not even the best part. The best part is that we also freed up 20 people times 2 hours a week times 50 weeks a year. We freed up 2,000 hours of his team's time that he was already paying for. And instead of it being wasted on a meeting, it now gets to be put to work, driving revenue, driving profit. So if we want to calculate the real ROI of canceling that meeting, it's 62K times whatever his team could do in 2,000 hours that we just magically reappeared for them. How much money can your team make in 2,000 hours? It's about 2.5 weeks for context for his team. This is profit, guys. It's real dollars that are in your business. You're paying for your team no matter what. The question is, what are you getting back from that investment? Is that water leaking out of your bucket in the form of sloppy and unnecessary meetings? Or is it being put to work, driving revenue and driving profit and building the best version of your business? It's free money. You've already paid for it. So take it up off the table. I have a tool that I'm happy to share with anyone on how to run a better, more effective, more efficient meeting. And with that one change, profit appears. One more thing about this, guys, that was one meeting, 2 hours a week. How many hours are you currently on Slack with your team? Real talk, for those on your computers, how many of you are currently on Slack right now? There it is, right? Yeah, and I don't judge you at all. The Slack notification gives me nightmares. Or it used to before I figured out how to streamline communication within my company. So if we take that same math and we calculate it across how many collective hours you and your team are just spending talking, not making money, talking, what is that costing your business? In the form of labor that you are paying for and revenue that doesn't get to be created because your team is too busy being in Slack trying to track down dropped balls or figure out what the heck is going on. Communication, if you're a larger team, 10 plus people, I genuinely believe communication of all 6 is the easiest and lowest lift place to find and uncover hidden profit in your business. Again, it is so easy to start running better meetings. And to be clear, that doesn't necessarily mean less meetings. Maybe a 15-minute stand-up, a 15-minute huddle at the beginning of the day saves your team 2 hours of Slack chatter later in the day. Would we take that ROI? 100%. So it's not about more talking or less talking, it's about better talking. People need to talk, information needs to move around your business. The question is, how efficiently is it doing that? And where possible, are we automating it? Good on communication. Let's keep moving. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about me. I whoopsied my way into operations. I didn't even know what operations was when I first started doing it. I was out of college, didn't know what I wanted to do, and met a guy, he was a paraglider, and he was like, hey, I wanna move into a van and go to paragliding competitions, do you wanna go with me? And I said, bet, but only if we take the van to South America. So we spent 2.5 years traveling full time through North and South America, and what I came to realize is that if you don't have systems, then you are the systems. I'm gonna say that again. If you don't have a system, then you are the system. Because what would the system do? The system would tell your team what needs to get done today. Are you the one running around telling your team what needs to get done today? The system is the one that says, hey, this is the deadline. Where are you at with this? Are you the one that's saying, hey, where are we at with that client and is it done? Are you the one doing all the repetitive tasks that can and should be automated? We've had incredible insights into automations in AI. I know those two aren't the same thing now. I didn't know that. Are you that person? Because then you are the system, right? Back to the data here, guys. How much is your time worth? You can actually calculate this. Take your average take home every single month, however much your business pays you every month, write that number down, multiply it by 12, divide it by 2,000. That is what Dan Martell calls your buyback rate. It's essentially the value of an hour of your time. It's what your business pays you for every single hour of your time. For our average client, when we run this math, that's somewhere between $150 to $300 an hour. Or we could get a ClickUp subscription for $200 a month and save you 10 hours a week. Hidden profit. Your time is money. Your time is value. And I know that because when we free up that time for our clients, do you know what they do with it? They know. They turn around and they pour into the marketing, the sales, the incredible ideas that they have about how to move the needle on your business. Like who here, if I was to just like wave a magic wand and give you back 10 hours a week, you know what you would put that towards to bring in the next wave of growth, next wave of revenue, next wave of profit. 1, 2, 3, you guys know what it's gonna take to build the business that you want. You just don't have the time to do it because you're stuck being a system that could have been delegated for $200 a month. I don't accept that for you. Your business does not accept that for you. Your business has all this potential. You know what it can become, and it's unrealized because you can't take it there? No, not a good enough reason to be sloppy and disorganized, in my opinion. So the real cost of not having right systems is, again, the hard cost of your time plus the upside potential of what you could have created if all of that time was spent doing the actual high-value things that you are uniquely good at and that actually drive the needle on your business. When we run the math for our clients, this on average can go out to anywhere from our smaller clients, this is an extra $500,000 a year, to for some of our larger clients, $5 million, $10 million. Like if I just gave you 30 hours back a week, you can make another $10 million in the next year. Okay, that's a pretty big freaking gap in your bucket. Let's close it. Your time is a resource, guys. I see in entrepreneurs, we're so self-sacrificing, we're so hardworking, we will always outwork the problem without realizing that there's a very real opportunity cost to us always stepping in to fix the problem, save the day, put out the fire, handle the client, because that is the same hours that you could be spending creating content, launching marketing, building new offers, driving sales. Very real cost. Okay, we gotta talk about AI. Everybody else has talked about AI, so I'm just gonna give my super quick 2 cents on AI through the operational lens, which is that obviously AI is a huge, big frickin' deal. Obviously, it represents an enormous opportunity for uncapped productivity and uncapped growth. And what we have seen, and some people already talked about this, AI is only as good as how you know to use it. AI is only as good as the team that can put it to work to drive growth in your business. Otherwise, it's a cost center of time and money that's not actually producing a result. Because you're not the only one using AI in your business. Your entire team can be and should be using this technology. So if you are gatekeeping AI, like you're the only person in your business working on it right now, as opposed to inviting your team to the table, if your team is secretly terrified that they're about to lose their jobs due to AI, they will be the last people to get on board with your big, exciting AI rollout. We cannot ignore the human side in the AI revolution. The companies that truly get ahead are those that are gonna figure out how to integrate between the tech and the people. My prediction on this is like, I totally hate this, but people talk about like thinkers and doers in your company. You know, like I've got my thinker people, those are all my high paid A-player leaders, and I've got my doers who are like my low paid VAs. Hate that, everyone's a thinker, to be clear. But doers are going away. Over the next 1 to 3 years, doing stops because the AI will actually just do it better, faster, and with fewer mistakes. But thinking is how we use the AI, what the strategic advantage and use case of this technology in our business is. So the companies that win with AI are the companies that have a team of thinkers, not a team of doers and one founder who thinks. Does that seem fair? Then refer to everyone else for all the other things about AI. They're better at it than I am. Cool. Data. I know we've talked about a lot of numbers. I know numbers might be hard and boring to a lot of people, so I want to share a story that illustrates just how important the numbers really are. We had a client, and last year, he did 15 million in top line revenue. Not bad. Pretty good entrepreneur, 15 million. When we looked at his books, spoiler alert, he didn't have books. We had to go in and build books just to figure out what his freaking profit was. What his profit came out to was 80K. So he did 15 million in top line revenue. He was working 80-hour weeks for a year to make that happen. And what was his payday? 80K. That's 0.05% profit margin. And when we said, hey, are you aware of this? He said, yes, of course, but I don't know why. I don't know where the money's going. I don't know what I'm doing that's working, that's getting us the 15 million, and I sure as hell don't know what I am spending $15 million on. How does a person even do that? He had no idea because he had no data. And in that position, he had one option, which is, I guess I'll just sell more. And he got stuck in this vicious cycle of I don't have enough profit to like pay my team next month, so I guess I need to sell more, but I don't know what I'm selling. It's not making me any profit, so I guess I need to sell more. So data, guys, it's the difference between 80K at the end of the year and where he should be, which is 3 to 5 million. The really cool thing is that we're going to spend 150K on the salary of a data savvy, qualified operator. That person's gonna clean up his books, start making database decisions. And the upside of that is $3 to $5 million. I looked at it, it's like a 20 to 33x ROI. Quick question, have you ever run an ad with 20 to 33x ROI? So why are we all spending so much money on the front end stuff that costs us all the money, as opposed to taking advantage of the free money that already exists in our business just so we can keep it and actually take it off the table and put it in our pockets? Because guys, again, it's your profit. It's yours. You worked so fucking hard to produce it. Don't let it fly away while all of our focus is on how do I get more water into the bucket. Final pillar, something I like to tell my clients. Starting a business is about what you say yes to. Scaling a business is about what you say no to. Starting a business is yes, because let's be honest, you don't know what you're doing. We don't know what our core offer is. We don't know what our product market fit is. We don't know who our core niche is. We don't know any of this stuff. And the only way to learn is through trial and error. The only way to learn is testing. And so in startup phase, whoever tests the fastest wins. And that means you say yes and you work hard and you try things and it gets you to that first 7-figure mark. But then what happens? What happens is that we start to scale, and the very thing that made us successful starts to actively slow us down. Scaling a business is about what you say no to. Why? Because imagine a boat being rowed in 10 directions. Everyone might be working really hard. Everyone is doing their absolute best. You are working the hardest you can work. Everyone is rowing so hard, but we're rowing in 10 directions. What happens to the boat? The boat goes nowhere. Strategy, guys, is about aligning and focusing your team, putting everything in a single direction so that it can compound and create maximum ROI for you. If we're saying yes to everything, then we are saying yes to nothing. We are spreading our finite resources, our time, our energy, and money in too many directions for us to produce a measurable result. There's another way that I want you guys to think about this, because I know we have some marketers in the room. Who's a marketer? Think of a marketing campaign, right? Think of like your Facebook ads. We know that we've got a bunch of campaigns, we're testing and trying things all the time, and not all of those campaigns work. Would we agree? That's just a given. Not everything we try is gonna work. Okay, but now imagine that instead of doing the smart thing, which is like figure out what's working, what's not, closing down what's not working, focusing on what is working, imagine we just kept everything. We just launched new ads without shutting off the bad ones that were burning all of our ad spend. And we just kept launching new stuff, and then we didn't even look at the ad sets. We didn't even look at the campaigns. We just kept our focus at the level of like the ads manager, and every single month said, yep, there's more money in the account than there was before. Guess it's successful. When we have no idea what's actually working. We have no idea what's actually driving the ROI, the profit. We're just keeping it all. And while we're keeping it all, by the way, I just went to a mastermind. I got 5 new ideas. I'm coming home to my team and we're gonna launch all of them. We would never do that in a marketing campaign. So why do we do that in our business? The things that consistently are burning up your ad spend, the bad ads, that's products and offers that aren't actually that profitable. That's clients that don't actually drive that much ROI. If I was to have you sit down and tell me 3 of your best clients, I can almost guarantee those clients pay you the most amount of money, they cause the least amount of fires and trouble and ruckus, they just pay every month on time, and that's like the whole thing. It's like pure profit. If I asked you to give me your 3 worst clients, you could also do that. These are the clients that always have problems, that pull in hours of your and your team's time to help solve whatever the hell. And then at the end of the month, they pay you the least, if not chargeback, refund, and actually we didn't make any money on that at all. The ads that aren't working are the less than ideal clients that you keep saying yes to. This is why everybody says pick a niche. So that as we can start to focus in and focus in and focus in, we get to focus in on the clients that we can actually deliver for profitably, as opposed to saying yes and being everything for everyone, even though 50% of that client base is not actually paying us profit, but it is stealing ad spend, it's stealing time, energy, and money from a team that could otherwise be spent doubling down on our best clients and going out and finding and serving more of those. When I ran this analysis for my agency, what we found is that our bottom, I wanna say like 70% of clients were only generating like 30% of our revenue. Our top 10% of clients were generating 40% of our revenue. They are wildly more profitable clients. So what did we do? We fired the bottom third. We fired them. Why? Because we took an immediate hit in revenue, and then I took all of my team's time and energy that I freed up and I put it to work on our top tier clients, finding more of those people, serving more of those people, upselling them, cross-selling them, giving them the best experience possible so that they refer other clients who are just like them. And our profitability shot through the roof, right? Small step back in revenue, huge step forward in profit. At the end of the day, guys, which would you rather have? The $15 million upside with the 80K in profit, or the $1 million business with the 50% profit margin? Let's optimize for what actually matters, which is the ROI that you get back from this business. Fair? So strategy, guys. Strategy is about doing less It's about saying no. And I know how hard that is because when you started, it was the opposite. It was flipped. It was about what you could say yes to and how quickly you could say yes. It's a really hard habit to break. I get that. And it's also your profit. So you get to decide how much is it worth to you to hold on to a behavior that is no longer serving. Why is it that most profit is hidden? Things that I said today are like, now that we see it, now that we know about it, kind of obvious, right? It's not rocket science. So why didn't I see it before? Why didn't I know it was there? Why am I wasting hundreds of thousands of dollars out of my bucket? Because our eye isn't on it. As visionary founders, that's not where we're looking. We are looking at the water being piped into the bucket. We're looking at sales, we're looking at marketing, we're looking at new offers, we're looking at new strategic partnerships, new opportunities, content. And to be clear, this is where your focus should be. Someone's gotta keep water moving into the bucket. It's a very essential role. In fact, nobody can do it as well as you. And that doesn't mean that the gaps and the holes don't exist. Just because we don't see them doesn't mean they're not there. Just because I haven't found the pixel that's costing me $100K a month doesn't mean that money's not leaking out of my business completely unbeknownst to me. So the best piece of advice that I can give you is not to try and be all things for your business, but be the things that you are uniquely qualified to be, which is the visionary founder who's going to take your company to the next level of growth. Instead, find a second in command, find an operator who can come in and keep an eye on the gaps. Keep an eye on the holes. It is two fundamentally different lenses. Guys, I've worked with hundreds of CEO, COO pairs, and I can tell you, these are different personality types. They are different value systems, different decision makers. They're entirely different people. It is so hard to be both of those people for your business at the same time. So much so that I know this stuff, right? I'm pretty good at ops. Shouldn't I be the operator in my own business? No, I have an ops manager. Her name is Veronica. She's amazing. And she tells me about all this stupid shit that I'm doing all the time to leak time and money out of my business because I didn't see it. I didn't see it. It wasn't where my focus was. It's not where my focus should be. My focus needs to be out. My focus needs to be here with all of you. My focus needs to be on piping water into the bucket. But that doesn't mean the gaps don't exist, even in my business, with tight meetings and tight systems, and we've done all the things. I want you guys to give yourselves some grace for maybe not seeing these things before. I want to give you permission to not be everything all the time for your business. I want you to acknowledge where you can drive your highest value as a visionary founder, and I want you to understand the ROI of bringing in someone else who can keep an eye on your downside, on the bottom line, while you focus on the top line, and profit is the gap that grows between. Strategy, leadership, team, systems and technology, communication, and data. One more story for you guys, and then we'll go to Q&A. And this is funny, it's an inside joke from me to me. Our client's name was actually Story with 2 Y's, so that's why that's there. All right, so Story, they are a content marketing agency. We came in, and in 6 months, we found $400K in hidden profit. Within 6 months, and to be clear, their operator, baddie, total badass. By the way, from the Philippines, makes $4K a month. So it's not that expensive to get the right talent to produce $400K in hidden profit. I will take that ROI. $400K, 6 months, it 4x their profit margin. And then the founder was able to take all of that profit that got freed up, take some of it, which was really well frickin' deserved for himself, and then pour the rest of it back into the business to grow even faster. So not only did they save $400K in profit, they actually are now on track to triple revenue because they have that much more fuel in the car. They have that much more to work with. So when we free up profit, we fix both problems, as opposed to only focusing on revenue, which puts us in the trap of constantly needing more revenue to make up for the fact that we have holes and cracks in our bucket. I share these stories, you guys, not to overwhelm you, not to intimidate you, but to tell you what is possible. And again, not just possible, but genuinely deserved. You are working too hard to have all this profit leak out of your business. You are pouring all of you into this company, and the company is taking that, stealing it, and not giving anything back, or giving back a fraction of what it could. And it will cost you so little to put the right person in the role so that they can keep an eye on that side of the equation for you. You can step into the role that only you can fill for your business, and you can take your company to the version of it that we both know you're capable of.